all of these things God did for you. And then, like a spoilt child, you turned away from him. You took all of his blessings and you said, I'm good. I got this. I don't need my parents anymore. The name Jeshurun means upright ones. And so he's sarcastically calling them the upright ones. He says, you got that. You enjoyed all my blessings, and then you kicked them away. You rebelled against every bit of it. And then you made your God jealous because you went after gods who aren't even gods. They have no power. They're inanimate objects, things made by man who was made by God. You were unmindful of your God. You forgot who gave you birth. Forgot where you came from. You weren't paying attention. Sometimes we disobey God purposefully, but sometimes we're just not mindful of who he is, what he expects of us, and why he deserves our obedience. And we just forget what he's taught us. We grow complacent and just begin to drift away. And so God says, don't do that. In Psalm 1, it says, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, or stands in the way of sinners, or sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on the law he meditates day and night. So this gives the impression of, walking in the counsel of the wicked, and then standing in their presence, and then just going ahead and sitting down. And that's what happens whenever we are complacent. We just slowly drift away. At first, we're just kind of entertaining it, and then we stop and we just stay right there in the midst of it. And then finally we're like, we're just going to sit right on down. So this song is reminding them, that's what you've done. You were unmindful of your God. You've forgotten who gave you birth. Okay, and then 19 to 27 says, the Lord saw it and he spurned them because of the provocation of his sons and his daughters. He said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end will be, for they are a perverse generation, children in whom there is no faithfulness. They have made me jealous with what is no God. They've provoked me to anger with their idols. So I will make them jealous with those who are no people, and I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled by my anger, and it burns to the depths of Sheol, devours the earth in its increase, and sets on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap disasters upon them. I'll spin my arrows on them. They shall be wasted away with hunger and devoured by plague and poisonous pestilence. I will send the teeth of beasts against them, and the venom of things that crawl in the dust. Outdoors the sword shall bereave, and indoors terror. For young man and woman alike, the nursing child with the man of gray hairs. I would have said, cut them to pieces, and I'll wipe them from human memory, had I not feared provocation by the enemy, lest their adversaries should misunderstand, lest they should say, our hand is triumphant, and it wasn't the Lord that did all of this. So what he's saying here is, because you have withdrawn from me, I will withdraw my hand of protection and blessing on you. And so now you will be hungry, you will be sick, you will be afraid. And this is going to affect everyone, young and old, because the entire nation has turned against me. And then he says something very interesting, again, very poetic. He says, you made me jealous with a God who isn't a God. Well, I'll make you jealous with a nation that isn't a nation. He's using an analogy that we would understand if we were jealous, right? So how a person would try to make their partner jealous by pretending to be attracted to someone else. He's saying, that's what I'll do. I'll pretend to align myself with this nation who isn't a nation, which what he's saying is, these are not my people, but I'm going to act like they are. I'm going to align myself with them. I'm going to help them defeat you. They're going to capture you, take you into their nation, and then I'll let you worship their gods as you already chose to do, and see if those gods who are not gods can do any of the things for you that you were getting from me. They won't. They can't. They have no power. And so I'm going to allow you to go your own way and see where that gets you. And then you're going to look and you're going to think, has God turned against us and sided with these people? And then you're going to say, wait, I want you, God. I don't like their God. He doesn't do anything for me. And then you will come back to me. And so again, God isn't forsaking them. Just as that person that the spouse is pretending to be attracted to is just a tool. It's just being used. That's what God is doing with this nation. He later on in this verse says, I'll punish this nation. But right now, I'm using them because I want you to come to me humbly. I want you to decide that you were foolish to turn away from me. And you decide you want me back. And when you decide you want me back, then I will take you back. But right now, you don't want me, so you can go. I'll help those other people, and I'll use them to make you jealous, to make you turn back to me. I'm going to continue reading 28 all the way to 38. For they are a nation void of counsel, and there's no understanding in them. If they were wise, they would understand this, and they would discern their latter end. How could one have chased 1,000, and two have put 10,000 to flight, unless their rock had sold them, and the Lord had given them up? For their rock is not as our rock. Our enemies are by themselves. For their vine comes from the vine of Sodom, and from their fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of poison. Their clusters are bitter. Their wine is in the poison of the serpents and the cruel venom of asps. Is not this laid up in store with me, sealed up in my treasures? Vengeance is mine, and recompense for the time when their foot shall slip. For the day of their calamity is at hand, and their doom comes swiftly. For the Lord will vindicate his people and have compassion on his servants when he sees that their power is gone and there's none remaining bond or free. Then he will say, where are their gods and the rock in which they took refuge, who ate the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you. Let them be your protection. So this is where God's saying, I'm going to store up all of the bad things that they're doing to you, and I'll take vengeance on them, but not until you realize that their gods have no power and that you were foolish to turn to them and you turn back to me. And then at the beginning of that, he says, I wish that you could get this before all of these bad things happen. That's why I'm giving you this song. I wish you could take the warning ahead of time. Isn't that what every parent wishes? You don't ever want to punish your children. You're hoping that the warning is enough. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. And God says, I sure wish that you could see what was going to happen to you and understand the gravity of it, and that it would matter to you enough that you would change what you're doing before all of these bad things have to happen to you. But if you're not going to, then you can go to these other nations and these other gods, and you can see how it works for you. Because you will come back. Because I'm the only true God. I've done all these wonderful things for you, and you don't appreciate them. And then listen to this, how he says, how could one have chased 1,000, or two have chased 10,000 to flight, unless their rock had sold them and the Lord had given them up? So that's what I was talking. I guess I got a little ahead of myself. That's what I was talking about whenever he says, I'll make you jealous with the other nations. He says, they couldn't have defeated you if I didn't allow it. But because you have turned against me, then I'm using them and pretending to side with them, and I am giving you up to them. They couldn't have chased you away if their rock hadn't sold them. This reminds me of exactly what Jesus told Pilate whenever Pilate said, "Hey, I'm trying to help you and you won't defend yourself. Don't you understand that I have the power to kill you or to save you?" And Jesus said, "You wouldn't have any power at all if God hadn't given it to you." And so that's what he's saying, is that God has aligned himself with the enemies for this moment because he's using them to teach his people a lesson. A way for us to understand this would be like how a parent has complete, total power to beat their kid in a game, but I'll restrain my power and I'll allow him to win as long as he doesn't get too cocky, right? And then if he starts getting a little too impressed with himself, then I can say, "I'll show you. You're not as good as you think you are. I actually am the most powerful. I was just letting you win." That's what God is doing with these people. He's letting them win. They have no power without him. Then he says, "These are wicked and evil people, and I will take vengeance on them, because just like Sodom and Gomorrah, their roots are evil." They think that they have defeated you, they've captured you, and they think that they've won. And so it tastes sweet to them right now. But the grapes that they're drinking are poison. They're the very thing that is going to make them meet their demise. It's the whole thing that is going to destroy them in the end. So right now they're enjoying it, but this sweet taste is going to turn to poison and it's going to kill them. That's how my vengeance will be in the end. But right now, I'm letting them think they win.